There are two things that help me improving my times by a lot, particularly on Nordschleife, and one is the Suelo Almeida light hands technique, and two, planning in advance, but let me explain.
Come on, Jeffy. Oh man, fucking hell.
Yellow flag.
We nearly fucked that up.
Just to put things in perspective, this is a track I race on for years. With my teammate George Simmons have won iRacing Endurance Championship, and it's not like I'm learning the track, but just wiring new habits in my brain and have completely different approach. Suelo talks over and over again about that light hand technique, particularly under braking, but I fully understood the concept once I felt it through the feedback. For example, in this video he asked random call sign to completely let the wheel off.
The relaxation under braking is the norm, actually. You should never grip the steering and force because you're gonna lock instantly. In the fraction of a second.
We all know that trial braking is the most important skill for fast times because in the process we don't just decelerate, but we prepare the car for the best possible exit through the proper rotation. But in sim racing we miss those G-forces, which gives insane feedback in real car. Even if there are already pedals like Simucube Active or the Simagic haptic motors, which helps enormously for cars with ABS, usually we don't have any feedback under those important braking zones, and that is the biggest problem in sim. Well, my biggest realization after 20 years plus sim racing arrived with that simple advice of light hands, and I found there is a tons of feedback. The wheel is speaking all the time, but all that is muted from our attention. The force feedback is trying to communicate the entire time the level of grip while cornering, but my commitment to turning overrides those micro signals, which leads to those micro locks, understeer, and loss of rotation and time. The first time I really found how much the feedback have to say was when I started driving the car around the track with my palm and just let the feedback autocorrect. That's how cars are built and physics works. They want to autocorrect even from reasonable slides. Well, I had to do something about it, so I've got that conscious decision to open 3 of my fingers every time I brake, and with the other 2 giving just that slight direction, but still letting the feedback do those micro autocorrections and help the rotation. You know that with the proper brake bias, few clicks back to the rear tires with even slight direction through the wheel, physics make the car rotate, but at some point some of the tires will give up and lose the grip, and if that is front, the car will understeer, or if it's rear, will oversteer, and that is the point where the force feedback will start communicating the information and try to autocorrect just as a real car. I believe the biggest problem for most of us is while keeping tight the wheel and committing the corner, we totally ignore the feedback and those micro autocorrections the physics of the car try to do. So that's just my personal hack. I start consciously open 3 of my fingers every time I brake and let the feedback speak, make those small autocorrections, and my work is just to keep the balance. To fully understand the concept, just try this. Take the car, ignore the times, go on the track and start giving direction with your palms and try to balance the chassis with the pedals. You will be amazed what is going on. The whole point of Suelo advice is not to be just relaxed and execute the perfect muscle memory, because driving is very dynamic activity, but listen to the feedback. Let the wheel do its work, and all we have to do is work with the pedals. That's why people say fast drivers work and turn with their feet. The more I let the wheel work on itself and I work with my feet, the fastest I go. Simple as that. Now, before I move to the next part which helped me improve, I have a little surprise for you. In 2 weeks from now, I will randomly pick up 2 guys from the comment section of this video, and one will get the Moza H shifter and one will get the Moza pedals. We'll celebrate the 70k subscribers achievement of Random Call Sign, who is amazing content creator and helps the community as much as he can. Go give some love to Suelo and Random Call Sign, as those guys deserve it way more than me, and if you want, just let a comment in that video so you may be the one who gonna get a little gift from the Race Beyond Matter community. Now, back to the next advice. Planning in advance. That may sound intuitive, but trust me, it's not that simple under pressure. We can lose or gain time on the entry while braking or on the exit while accelerating out till the next braking point. Of course, the perfect case will be taking the maximum from both, but braking came first and becoming more and more difficult once we start chasing the clock. The problem for me, and probably most of us, is when we start chasing the times and the pressure rise, we often cook the braking zone trying to take the maximum and destroy the exit, which in most cases is way more important. I really believe this is mostly mental problem, just because first come the braking and the entry and we are just not patient enough under pressure. When Suelio said in one of his videos that we have to plan in advance, something just clicked in my head. I know the track so well and I know where I want to have the car on each apex, but I often found the car in completely different spot just because I wanted to take the best from the braking zone. The only mental switch I had to do in my head was to think about the exit as my only priority. I had to convince myself that the best exit of the corner is everything for me and braking is used only to set the car in the proper spot with the proper angle and rotation of the exit. Just convincing myself that in braking time is not involved, like time doesn't exist and everything is about the proper angle of the exit, everything changed. The reality is we can gain a tenth just braking a bit later, but also lose more than 3/10 accelerating that bit later till the next braking point. Of course, things are not as black and white and there are colors in between, as some corners require to keep the momentum and the speed of the car and some deep braking, but in general, once I start prioritizing the best possible position for the exit and stop thinking how I can gain or lose in braking zone, just that little mental switch changed everything. You see, simple advice like that to plan in advance make me realize that I'm more concentrated on the present, which is the braking, and the only thing I had to do is to shift mentally my priority, which is the exit. Times in racing comes mostly from the best possible exit, and just tiny bit late braking can cost a lot. Such a simple advice brings me to my biggest realization, what I'm doing wrong driving under pressure, and honestly the only thing was to shift mentally my priority. Now I brake with the only intention to set the car for the best possible exits, just focus one step ahead. So, those are the 2 hacks that work for me and I just wanted to share with you. Happy racing, everyone.